Okay, so each country has its own unit for the operational risk assessment, or it is managed in a central unit. I mean, I don't know. For
good question.
Okay.
Good question. So if a project is small, it can be managed and completely approved within the business unit locally. If it's large and has risk, it gets moved to Sweden and corporately, and if it's large enough, it goes to the senior executive team, and if it's even larger than that, it goes to the board of directors.
Again, for the risk, what are the factors that are taken in consideration for the risk? So you talked about a two-dimension matrix. What are the factors taken in consideration for the risk dimension?
What is it? I mean, was your question about estimating?
What are the factors that are kept in consideration for the risk? Because we talked about two dimension is matter, one dimension is the size of the project, and that's easy to understand. The other side is the risk of the project. And so what I'm interested in understanding is what are the drivers that you use to calculate the risk of a project.
Okay. So let's see. I'm not sure I can remember them all, but there was. Are there any ethical risks? Risk as it relates to your joint venture partner, risk as it relates to your location. There was the project ones related to percent labor. If the labor the cost of labor was more than 50% of the cost of the project, that was a warning, or that was a higher risk. Let's see. I could probably find it for you. I mean, at one time I remember we actually put the whole thing in the annual report. I can probably find it for you and send it to you.
Yes. Can you send it to us later?
I'm sorry, you broke up.
You can send that. Can you please send that us a tool later, please?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Yep.
Yes, thank you. We'll wait for that. Okay. And what are, for example, more or less the distribution of the size of the construction project for Skanska? What is the average project, the minimum project they take, and what is considered a big project for them?
Well, so some of the biggest projects that Skanska does, they did Karolinska Hospital, which was a PPP in Sweden. That was several $1 billion, as I recall. They are doing the new LaGuardia Airport in New York City. That's also several $1 billion. So that's the biggest projects they do, several $1 billion. But they'll do small projects as well, depending on the business unit. Each one of the home markets, each one of the country business units, they are generally the sum of acquisitions made in that country years ago, and they have unique skills and markets. Some of them are more accustomed to doing smaller type of work, and some of them are accustomed to doing larger projects. Like, for instance, the civil operation in the United States is accustomed to doing very large projects. The operation in, say, Poland was, for the most part, doing smaller projects, but so it varies.
Okay, so let's move on and talk about the future outlook of the market. Let's consider both the EPC segment and the concession segment. First of all, I'd like to ask you what are the main challenges